beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Value's in the eye of the beholder. You can if you can convince somebody that something is true or something is valuable, it doesn't necessarily have to be true or valuable. If somebody believes that is true or believes that is valuable, then it's valuable. To say that, okay, Bitcoin is something that it's nothing, right? It's really nothing. It's not like it's worth a home in Cleveland, Ohio, right? It's the equivalent to a single family home in Cleveland, Ohio. So you have one asset where you can actually live, sleep. There's plumbing. There's a door. There's a chimney. Like there's an actual physical place.
40,000?
Huh?
40,000?
You'll probably get a single family home in Cleveland for 40,000.
A lot of people saying you could, and it panned out. You couldn't get them for that price.
They went to Cleveland, it wasn't there.
Let's call Answer see what the going price is. Some people was quoting them prices. They weren't that.
They met the mini home. Mini home.
Yeah. Call beyond win. Well, there's somewhere where you get a home. There's somewhere where you get a home for $40,000, right?
Yes.
So it's like, okay, would you take a home? Would you take a home for $40,000, or would you take a Bitcoin?
All right, let me ask you this now, right? That's a great analogy. But what if that Bitcoin? It depends on where you're at, right? If you're homeless, you take the home. But if you're not, do you look at the returns or the appreciation of that home, or the potential appreciation of the Bitcoin?
No, I'm not saying that you don't take the Bitcoin. I'm just saying that that's the psychology.
Right.
Bitcoin is nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's literally it's there. It's just it's an idea. It's an idea. It's a
what
concept.
would you take right now? The $40,000 home or the Bitcoin?
Bitcoin.
Okay, that's what same.
Yep.
But that's what I'm just saying. So it's like I think Jamie Dimon and these guys are looking at it from the standpoint of the home. Like, okay, this is something. This is real. This is just nothing. This is stupid. Why? Yeah. But you don't always have
homes are a banking product.
But that's true. And we all just said that we would take the Bitcoin, right? Because we're thinking about you can't deny the returns.
While we talk about crypto and digital dollar, Donald Trump.
Oh man.
The
Donald.
What are your thoughts on Trump saying that he's not going to allow a Federal Reserve digital dollar if elected?
Well, let's put the context to it, right? So he said that he's going to block the creation. That's if, right? If, big hypothetical, but maybe not. If he's elected president, that he's going to block the creation of a U.S. central bank digital coin, the coin that we had talked about, the CBDC. He said this would give the federal government absolute control over our money. They can take your money. You wouldn't even know it was gone. This would be dangerous to the threat of freedom and will stop anybody from coming to America. So there's a couple of things, right? Like when we think about government playing a major role, and that's one of the big things, right? From the party sides, is like less government, less government. I understand that point on what he's saying, but is it an indication of the entire space? I don't know if it's an indication that he doesn't believe in Bitcoin or in cryptocurrency, because this is the same guy who has an NFT.
Well, I'm with him on this on a variety. I think I've never been robbed for anything in my life. Like as far as money, I never been on the other end of a robber's revolver, as Nas would say.
That's a fact.
I never got robbed in my life. The only time I ever got robbed was for my cryptocurrency by somebody that I never knew online. So I'm extremely cautious when it comes to digital assets, especially if the government has their hands in it. I 100% would not be comfortable with a government controlled digital dollar, because who knows? They could just freeze your bank account. Think about how quickly they could freeze your crypto.
Exactly.
And take it and audit it and everything. So look,
but are you playing on the mindset that there's people who might say, like, if government is involved, it is now safer?
No, it's not safer. Well,
it's not safer.
Regulation is beneficial on a certain level, because like I said, what happened to me with Coinbase, that wouldn't have happened if it was regulation. If it was Fidelity, you can't just get robbed for your brokerage account. There's systems in place, and there's recourse. So that is beneficial on a certain level. Yes, for sure. But as far as, overarching control most of the time when government has control over something, it goes awry, and it doesn't work out in the benefit of the consumer, so the regular everyday person. Whenever government gets their hands in something, it usually 9 times out of 10 is only benefiting government.
Yeah. Did anyone think this was a good idea?
No.
No, right? No. Okay.
No. Is Trump going to win the election?
Well, I've said that
he's going to play to a certain base. He's going to play to the banking crowd, but I would not be surprised if in 2 months, if he starts playing to the crypto crowd to get a certain amount of votes in, and DeSantis stepped down, gave the endorsement. I'm wondering if this is a part of his political strategy.
I think this week starts the political campaign for president. I think South Carolina, I believe, primaries are this week. I think Nikki Haley will be out of it by the end of this week. Yeah, and it'll just
especially after she said racism don't exist. Use your native name.
that was beyond.
That's insane.
I will say this:
not your native name, and neither is Haley. What?
Man. Yeah,
I will say this: I feel like all of the politicians should speak to us, because we have a platform for the people. So I will be. I don't want to give too many predictions on this, because I do want to remain apolitical, and I do think that the Republican side and the Democrat side should speak to us. I think that they should come to InvestFest. I think that they should answer the hard questions,
the tough questions. Yeah,
the tough questions for sure. So I will reserve.
Yeah,
but I've said in the past that I think that Donald Trump is going to win. But let's tread lightly on that.
Yeah, let's ask the questions. Lightly. Let's hear the answers, and let's form our own educated opinions. And then based on those answers, let's vote. Look, I've seen a lot of people speaking, and shout out to Charlemagne. I've seen what him and Angela Rye and Tiffany Cross. Shout out to them, their new show.
Yeah,
Native Land Pod, which is doing incredible. But they're speaking the language that we've been speaking for a while now, right? Like, where it's not just, hey, this is the black vote and it's going to be automatic. Nah, we've done that for too long. And we've said that for multiple elections, but it's at a point now where we have readily available information. We have more economic, I shouldn't say more economic, but we are starting to see people have more economic prowess, especially in our community, right? Like, I know more people with money than I've ever known in the past 10 years, in the past 5 years, right? And so with money comes power, and with power comes influence. And so that is changing. The landscape is changing. And so let's see what happens. But I agree with you. I think that both sides should come to the forefront and answer some of the tough questions if they're going to rely on a base that can pretty much sway an entire national election.
If I had to pick today, I would say that I have a hard time.
Was that a politically correct answer?
I have a hard, for sure. I have a hard time finding how Donald Trump loses. I have a hard time seeing
it. It's getting harder and harder to find the reason.
I have a hard pathway to see him, but it doesn't mean that he can't lose. The Democrats are going to have a lot of money, and Biden he's billions of dollars of student loans every other day. It's getting dropped off.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to fight. The Democrats are going to fight. I think that they do have some good talking points. They just have to communicate it. They haven't done a good job of communication. They got to communicate their talking points. But the wind is probably in Donald Trump's favor right now. But I will be interested to see what they can do. I definitely think that the vice president needs to be a little bit more vocal and speak out a little bit more. Because,
Absolutely.
Hey, let's face it, she has a good chance of becoming president if Joe Biden gets reelected. So, I mean, it's just reality. So I think that she needs to be more in the forefront.
Yeah,
I think that would be helpful for sure, especially as a black woman. For sure. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. It starts now.
For sure.
Yeah. DeSantis dropped out.
Nikki Haley, I think, is also an extremely dangerous person, because once again,
Absolutely.
I think that if you're willing to say anything, then what kind of person are you? And for her, to say that America has never been a racist country, and then to double down on it and to say, well, its intentions were good. What intentions are you referring to? Even in the Constitution, it said black people are 3/5 of a man.
Yeah, that was interesting because she kept reiterating the point of every man was created equal. When she honestly probably did she revisit the 3/5 compromise?
Well, yeah, I mean, you have a country that was founded on slavery, and then Jim Crow, and then the whole civil rights movement. Black people wasn't even allowed to drink from the same water fountain as a white person. That's pretty racist, if I would say so. Then you talk about the Japanese internment camps. Then you talk about Chinese Americans when they came over and they was working the railroad line. You talk about Native American massacre,
absolutely, which never talked about.
Just literally took the land and put them on reservations. Then you talk about mass incarceration. And you talk about crime bill,
redlining
for sure. But a crime bill that gave 100 times more for crack cocaine than powdered cocaine when it's chemically the same exact substance. But 90% of crack users and crack dealers were black people, and 90% of white cocaine users and cocaine dealers were white people. That's racism. Man, we can kind of go down the line here. So I think that I get it, that you have to rally up support for, ignorant white people. But that's not the best way to go about it. I don't think that that's the best way to go about it. And yeah, herself, she's Indian, and she changed her name, and she actually looks different than she used to look. I don't know what happened. But I feel like it's in a lot of assimilation, and if you have to try that hard to assimilate, there's obviously a reason that you're trying to assimilate.
Yep.
It's not because you just want to. It's because you feel uncomfortable with who you are, and that's because America's built on racism.
Absolutely. Number one, a financial product that got the country off was us. So. Set the episode 70 has not changed. Most of the once again, if reparations were given, it would bankrupt the world, not just the United States of America. So for her to say that was tasteless at best. So yeah. And the political system is never going to change. So
just so you know,
the players may change, the system itself is never going to change. That it is designed that way intentionally. So. But hopefully we can have some candidates who actually speak the truth. And but we have to start voting in blocks. And if not, we don't get what we need. We cannot give our votes to that candidate just because.
That's right. What we do know is that whether it's Donald Trump or it's Joe Biden, we still need to be investing.